Squirtle, use water gun! Oh no, it's 2 against 1. What's he gonna do? Mommy! Oh, Hola, amigos, it's Will here from Will's Custom Figures, coming at you today with a big, bad breakdown of the one, the only, the legendary starter Pokemon from the first game. It's Squirtle, Blastoise, and Wartortle. So guys, please sit back while I talk you through how and why I made this awesome set of Pokemon figures and all the details in between. Guys, first things first, this is so heavy, it's moving the turntable, so I'm going to put Wartortle and Squirtle back there, just so hopefully there's a little bit more stability on here. Blastoise, of course, taking centre stage as one of the most iconic and badass of the original Pokemon characters of all time. Why have I made these? Let's start with why. Well, 1990s, this cartoon was launched, and I was probably about 8, 9, 10, that sort of range at the time, and I fell in love with all these characters. At school, it was all about Pokemon cards, it was all about the Game Boy, it was all about Pokemon Platinum, you know, had you completed the Pokedex or not? And do you know what? Eventually, after being jealous of all my friends that could complete the Pokedex, I actually did complete it. But yeah, it was many, many years later into my adulthood that I did that. But guys, these are 3 of the original 151 Pokemon characters. And I think these are probably 3 of my favourites. Definitely, I never chose Squirtle though. From the original 3. I was always a Bulbasaur kind of guy, and yeah, you'll probably see that, and I'll talk about that a little bit more throughout this video. So, first thing, let's move Blastoise out of the way, and yeah, let's put Squirtle main stage here. Squirtle was one of, if not the first few Pokemon figures that I ever made, and it is massively flawed, guys. There is a lot of areas that if I was to remake this, very similar to my Pikachu that I've made in the past, there's a lot of areas that I would start again and would sculpt using the skills that I've developed over the years. But I haven't yet, and part of the reason for that is because this, I have a little bit of nostalgia. I remember exactly where I was and how I made it and all the details. And all the struggles, as you can see here, the bottom of this shell really is very, very imperfect. I started using Super Sculpey clay at this time. And if you've watched this channel, I've mentioned it probably 100 times that I always cook in layers. So whenever I cook my clay, I'll do a little bit and then I stop. And then I'll do a little bit more and then I stop. And I cook it after each bit, after each achievement, each stage. And this one, I didn't do that. And you can see there's a lot of finger marks and indents and imperfections there that you probably won't see with some of the other starter Pokemon and characters that I've worked on. Now, let me just refocus the camera, and just for a little bit of a comparison, this, for anyone that hasn't seen the video, Bulbasaur was the first ever starter Pokemon that I made. And oh my God, I'm so proud still to this day. Just move Blastoise out of the shot there. Still so proud of that Pokemon figure to this day. That was first, this was second, this was third. And I really can see, I don't know if you guys can, an improvement in the techniques and in the sculpting from Bulbasaur to Squirtle to Charmander. I'm so happy with how it's turned out. These were not easy. Like when you start a new hobby or you start learning a new skill, I don't know, man. Like for me, reflecting back, I feel super, super happy with how they turned out. Bulbasaur, I actually watched a YouTube comparison video, not a comparison, a guide video on how to create it. And I'm really happy with how Bulbasaur turned out. But you know what? Squirtle, for all of his imperfections, he can sort of sit back on his tail here. I'm really happy with how he turned out. Now, guys, a few facts about Squirtle, just in case you're interested before I move over to old Wartortle, is that it's actually Squirtle and Turtle added together. So I think when it's Squirt and Turtle added together, they've come up with the idea of Squirtle. And there's actually a squad of firefighters of these guys in the Pokemon anime. And I really, really enjoyed it. It gives me a lot of nostalgia looking back at them. Of course, it's a water type. You had the grass, you had the water, and you had the fire. But yeah, Squirtle was probably my least favourite of the original 3, but definitely someone I had to have. There was no argument I had to have in my collection. And here we go. Here is the one and only Wartortle, looking very cool. I'm loving those big ears that he's got there. You might be able to see there's a couple of cracks and imperfections around the tail there. There's a crack. There's also a crack on his little ear piece here. So I've moved house 3 times since originally making this. So yeah, he has stood the test of time and took some battle damage over the years. But we went from Squirtle previously, who was number 7 of the original Pokemon that were ever made, onto Wartortle, who was number 16. And let's just bring in good old Charmeleon here. There is a full review of Charmeleon on one of my other videos, and then another character and another sculpture that has taken some damage over the years. Here is good old Ivysaur. There's cracks all over these lovely little fern pieces. You can see it sort of goes up and down there where the crack happened, but I attached it with wire when I first made it, so the good news is that it does still stay in place and is a little bit more durable than some of the other Pokemon figures I've made over the year. So as you can see, there's some really nice sculpting here. Not really, not the easiest things to make and quite challenging. They definitely challenge me and all of my skills and ability when making them. But with Wartortle, it's of course the words turtle and war mixed together. It's inspired by a sea turtle, and the tail actually holds air, which means that he can float in the water. And I made these, I think that for making the original starter Pokemon, first I went with Wartortle. And as you can see, size-wise, he's probably a little bit on the chunky side. I'd like to have made him a little bit smaller. He is, I like to say, and I'm quite happy with the scale compared to Ivysaur and compared to Charmeleon. But yeah, I would have liked to have made him a little bit more small and intricate details. I think he is a little bit on the chunky side, unfortunately. However, yet again, you can see some of the challenges that I had. I'll just bring Squirtle in here with the shell, with my fingers pressing in. I made this with one sculpt, just literally from a ball of aluminium wire and aluminium foil and armature wire, and then put clay on top and cooked it one time. You can see things like little fingerprint marks. I don't know if you can notice that on the head. Let me just zoom in. Yeah, you can see little fingerprint marks and stuff. But I had not perfected, but improved my skill set at sculpting by this point. And I'm really happy with how he's turned out, or she's turned out, because I think more than anything, this poses more challenges in some ways than these two, because you've got these long ears and this very intricate tail with lots and lots of details in, and definitely it's kind of trial by fire. This is not an easy Pokemon, but the set of Pokemon isn't easy to work on. But they definitely have challenged me and took me out of my comfort zone. So I hope you guys like it. I'm very happy with how they turned out. And again, of course, you've got the fire, you've got water, and you've got grass type there. And here we go, guys. Here it is in all of his glory, Blastoise. And you can't have a video with the final evolution of Blastoise without bringing in Charizard and Charmeleon and Charmander, and of course Venasaur, Ivysaur and Bulbasaur. Guys, I really hope you like this video, because it took me absolutely ages to try and put this together and get all of these on camera. I've actually had to scale back and move back where I normally put my tripod just to fit them all in. So really happy with it. And I'm going to do a little bit of a move. I'm sorry for any rocky camera work here, but as you can see, just going to give them a little move. Charizard's nail did break off. I don't know if you can see on this hand here, but yeah, it did break off when moving. That's fine. I can easily just super glue that. So here it is. Here's Blastoise looking really cool. And of course, you can't have a Pokemon related video unless you have good old Ash Ketchum and Pikachu along for the journey. So with that in mind, just a few top tips and ideas I'd give to anybody that was thinking about creating their own. Scale is important. Charizard probably is on the big side. I should have made it maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner. Either way, live and learn. That's just something that, I'm still very happy with the decisions that I've made in creating that. I also think that Venusaur is an absolute tank. So you can't really appreciate the size of Venusaur when he's shoved all the way back, and it's important to get them for scale in the right positions when you're displaying them. However, On that note, also picking the right colour scheme is really important. With these Pokemon figures, I decided that I was going to use Vallejo paints. Now, with Vallejo paint, Super Sculpey is the clay that I've used. They both work really, really well hand in hand with each other. Vallejo offers thousands and thousands of different colours, and this isn't an advertisement. This is just because I've used these from anything from my Marvel videos to my DC videos to my horror stuff, and of course the very, very bright stuff like Pokemon, as you can see. And I'm going to slowly start to bring these forwards just to try and get different lights. And you can see whatever light you put these in, they really, really do hold up. I'm super happy with the size, the scale, the colour scheme. As mentioned, I would probably like to have made... I'm going to put him back on there. I would probably like to have made Charizard a little bit smaller, or indeed, I could have actually made Blastoise and Venusaur a little bit bigger. But they are massive as it is. Now, on to the last few things. Blastoise, he actually evolves at level 36. He's got Hydro Pump. He's an absolute badass. And of course, water beats fire. Fire beats grass. Grass can beat water. I love the Pokemon lore and all the different pieces of information and little tactics that you can do on this game. And I just want them, selfishly, in my display. So, final reflections on this, guys. Before I get to that, I'm just going to do a real nice zoom in and a close-up shot of Blastoise for you. So bear with me. I'm going to move these out of the way. There's so many moving pieces to this video. Okay, here we go. Logistically, I'm so excited just to do it. I probably should have planned it a little bit better. However, here we go, Pikachu. You can sit here. And here he is. Oh, what a chunker. There we go. Nice up close shot there. Look at that. How beautiful. Now, I would probably have liked, just adjust this a little bit, I'd probably have liked to make the underneath of the chin a little bit smaller. The guns on the shoulders, I actually made those a little bit smaller at the beginning. So yeah, I'm really happy with how they look now. I wanted them as like real, massive, huge things that he could, use the Hydro Blast with. And I am very, very happy with how I used a scalpel. Once I did the clay, I created the overall shell in full first, and then I used a scalpel style tool. It isn't quite as sharp as the scalpel, just to press in and make this indentation for the shell. Now, paints. I actually used what's called a electric blue. Sorry, I'm not going to move the camera anymore. I used an electric blue. And then I've also done washes as well on top with aquamarine blue. I've also used, what is the other colour now? I'm just trying to think. I think it's ocean blue, aquamarine blue, and electric blue to get that colour. However, it's a lot of mixing, guys. It's just having a palette. I save all of my yogurt lids and I use that just to mix my paints on. So I would definitely highly recommend the Vallejo paints for a piece as big and as impressive and cool as this. I've used silver by Vallejo for the shoulder cannons, and I've used a beastie brown, as you can see here, for the shell. And look at that in my hand. The size of him is monstrous. And one thing that I do love about Pokemon is that they're still appealing to this day. My son absolutely loves Pokemon. My daughter, she's never played the games. She's only 4. However, she loves looking at them. She'll come in and pick her favourite ones and stuff. So I think, guys, overall, my love for Pokemon is going to continue moving forwards. I want to work on a Rayquaza. I don't know if anybody else has any recommendations. Please let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see certain characters coming up very, very soon. But I've got everyone from Torchic, from Magmar. I'm working on a Magmortar. I've got a Haxorus. I've got the whole evolution of the Caterpie, Butterfree, and Metapod. I've got some really cool videos coming up, guys, including Gyarados and Magikarp. And that is it from me, from my Pokemon review. I really hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here today. What is next? As mentioned, I'm going to try and improve my sculpting skills even more, just because I've been able to put together this pretty awesome, and I'm very, very happy with Pokemon team of all the starters, it doesn't fulfill my passion, my hunger, and my enjoyment for making these. I have also got Eevee, I've got Jolteon, I've got Vaporeon, I've got Umbreon, I've got Flareon, and eventually I'll be getting to all the other evolutions in between in that line. So please, guys, stay tuned. And other than that, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Guys, it's been a pleasure getting to film this video with you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for all of your time. And thank you for staying with me, because this really is an absolute hobby for me. I get a lot of requests to work on custom action figures, but the Pokemon, these guys, they don't articulate. I make them how I want them. And whether or not, like Squirtle, there's flaws, whether or not it's my first ever Pokemon, you can see the colour difference there with Bulbasaur, or whether or not it's onto what I would probably say is my masterpiece. I love Venasaur, it's my all-time favourite. As I mentioned in this video, of course we have Blastoise, and then we have good old Charizard and all the evolutions in between. This is my hobby. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. I think I've touched on all my notes. Adios.